In the retro computer repair hobby, chip programmers are one of those tools you don't think you'll need until you suddenly really do. Whether it's burning a replacement ROM, testing a dodgy chip, or programming a GAL, they've become an essential in my retro repair workflow. For the past few years, I've been using this TL866II Plus, and for the most part, it's served me very well. Recently though, I've upgraded to a similar but more capable T48. But before we get to that, I also want to talk about the original TL866, because in some ways that old one was actually more capable than this Plus. And I'll also touch on the high end with the much more expensive T56. So let's compare all of them and try and decide which one really makes the most sense for retro repairs. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. Now, if you're looking to get some boards made this month, PCBWay have a couple of nice promos on the go. First up, Purple Solder Mask is completely free for the whole of September. So if you fancy a striking new look for your boards, now's the time to try it out. They're also running a big discount on 3D printing in TPU using FDM. You'll get 36% off as standard, and the bigger your print, the bigger the discount. All the way up to 80% off. I'll drop a link in the description if you want to check that out. And while you're over on their site, take a look at PCBWay's 8th Project Design Contest. If you've got something you've been working on, it's a great chance to share it with the community and maybe even win a prize. So whether it's PCBs, 3D printing, CNC or assembly, head over to PCBWay using the link below and take advantage of those September offers. Let's start at the beginning. The original TL866 came out over a decade ago and quickly became a favourite with hobbyists. It was small, cheap and supported thousands of devices. Crucially, it could generate higher programming voltages up to 21 or even 25 volts depending on the chip. That meant it could happily program older EPROMs like the 2716s and 2732s you find in early 80s machines. The downsides? It was slower and the device library was smaller. Support eventually stopped and the hardware started showing its age. But even now, people still hang on to them because of that high voltage capability. Then came the TL866II Plus, or the Mini Pro as some of us know it. I've used this one for years and it's been a solid workhorse. It supports a wider range of modern chips, runs faster, and the software is pretty straightforward once you get used to it. But here's the catch. For reasons best known to XGecu, they limited programming voltage to just 18 volts. That means a whole range of older EPROMs simply won't program. They'll read fine, but you can't write to them. And for retro repairs, this limitation can be a deal breaker. Right, just as an example, I'm going to show the voltages that are available if I put this chip into the software. NMC 27C16, and it's a QE. We'll go for that one. This is as close as I can get, and I'm actually going to read the chip first, which is done successfully. It passed the check ID. The maximum voltage that I can go to on this programmer is 18 volts. That won't allow me to program it. But if I swap this out, okay, so it's changed the device ID to this one instead. Right, after restarting the software, with the same chip selected, I can program all the way up to 25 volts, which is already selected for this chip. I'll put it in the other way around because that's a little bit sneaky. There's an Apple II character ROM here. I program that with this one. It should do it in one go. Excellent, and that verified, but let's verify it again anyway. Verify. Marvelous. If I go back to the other one, I'll leave this chip in here and we'll go back to this one, which has still got the same, it's the same chip. It's a NMC 27C16QE. Restart the software. And now I can only go to 18 volts. Let's load that same bin file. Okay. And programming failed. So I wonder what would happen if I took this chip, it's already failed the programming, and put it in this programmer the right way around. I might have already, it might need to be erased again, so this might not work. Let's experiment. Right, now we've got, oh, we need to restart the software. Now we've got 25 volts. Let's load that same bin file and program it. Ha ha! Fantastic. So there's the big difference between these. There's not a huge amount of chips that you need to program with 25 volts, but every now and then you come across one and it really is important. Another factor to take into consideration is programming pulse timing. On the TL866II Plus, this is limited to a very short 1 millisecond pulse. Why does this matter? Well, for modern devices, it doesn't, but older devices need a longer pulse to be programmed reliably. The original TL866 and the T48 can do longer pulses, along with the higher voltages, making them much more suitable for the types of chips you'll find in 80s micros. Enter the T48. This is the spiritual successor to the TL866II Plus, and the one I've just upgraded to. On the outside it looks pretty similar, apart from the sexy black case and ZIF socket, but under the hood it's a different story. It can now generate up to 25 volts, so those older EPROMs are back on the menu. It also has a much faster microcontroller, so read and write speeds are noticeably quicker. And the supported device list is enormous, tens of thousands of parts covering everything from retro EPROMs to modern flash and microcontrollers. For me, the big difference will be I'll no longer hit those frustrating roadblocks. Chips that failed on the TL866II Plus should just work on the T48. And that makes it the sweet spot for retro repairs. It's affordable, it's actively supported, and it covers the chips I actually want to program. Of course, there's always something bigger and shinier. The T56 is XGecu's flagship programmer. It uses an FPGA inside, supports BGA packages, massive NAND and eMMC devices, and it's blazingly fast. But it's also 4 to 5 times the price of a T48. And for the kind of work I do, fixing C64s, Spectrums and Amigas, it's complete overkill. If you're repairing modern consoles or embedded devices, it might make more sense. For retro, not so much. So what does all of this mean if you're looking to buy one? The original TL866 is long discontinued. You'll only find it in second-hand markets, usually between £40 and £70. If you stumble across one, it's still handy, but I wouldn't go hunting for one now. The TL866II Plus is still widely available, around £50 to £70. It's decent, but remember those voltage limitations. If you're in the market for a programmer, then the T48, the current mainstream model, is what I would go for. Expect to pay around £65 to £110 from Amazon, AliExpress or UK electronics suppliers. That's the one I'd recommend today. And a T56, around £400 to £600 depending on where you buy it. RS Components carry them, but at that price, you'd really need to justify it. So which one is best? Well, that depends. If you already own a TL866II Plus, stick with that until you run into a chip it won't program. If you've still got an original TL866, it's worth hanging on to one of those for early EPROMs. But if you're buying new today, the T48 is the obvious choice. It fixes the old problems, it's reasonably priced, and it's still being updated. For my workshop, the upgrade was absolutely worthwhile. It saves me time, frustration, and lets me cover a wider range of retro hardware without worrying about limitations. I'd love to know what programmers you're using in your repairs. Do you still have an older TL866, or have you moved on to something newer? Drop me a comment down below. If you'd like to see these videos early, you can support my channels on Patreon, links in the description. I've got some C64s here with bad ROMs, so I'm hoping I can get some good use out of my new toy. Thanks for watching. What's that creepy walk off camera man?